Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So, today is December 12th, and today is the Roads to Personal Security Techniques. We're going to talk about a few relatively small and simple things you can do to provide an additional layer of security and safety for you, your family, and your loved ones. Recently, because of the U.S. telecommunication systems being compromised, U.S. government officials provided some advice to citizens on this subject. One of those pieces of advice was to develop a secret word to use to verify who you are over telecommunications that are more and more easily being faked. The advice, as it went out through the media, was really vague, with no explanation of how to actually implement the so-called secret word. So, we're going to talk about a few ways to do that, and then talk about some other things that go along with it. What the feds seem to be primarily worried about is a deep fake of someone being used to scam a relative. Imagine you get a call saying your relative who is on vacation had their wallet stolen and needs you to wire them some money. It's their voice, and it even has their phone number on the caller ID. But the voice you hear is a cloned voice, and the phone number is spoofed. It could happen. So, one of the ways you can protect yourself is what they were calling a secret word. It's a way to verify the person's identity using information that is not online anywhere. That's really important. The information cannot be online anywhere. The person trying to scam you might have access to online information, so nothing that's online. Now, the most basic way to do this is to follow the advice and just create a word or phrase that can be supplied on demand. You ask the person, "How do I know this is you?" And they reply with, "Batman was actually the bad guy." But if you're going to take the time to do this, always prepare for the worst case scenario. It only takes a few extra minutes of conversation beforehand, and you can establish discrete phrases that can be used in front of other people without arousing suspicion. You can establish a verification term, a distress term, and a countersign system. You can set a verification term by designating a word or phrase you never use to be said to verify who you are in advance of any request. An example would be saying something like, "Hey, your baby girl is in trouble again. I need you to wire me some money because my wallet was stolen." Baby girl in this case is the verification term. Any request without this term is to be ignored or at least challenged, and we'll get to how to challenge in a minute. A distress term is a term meant to signal that you are in distress and that the person you are talking to needs to complete a pre-assigned task. This is normally to deal with more severe security threats, but it works the same way. It's a phrase you can work into the conversation without sounding like you're alerting anyone to a problem. "I'm running late. I'll be back to the casa soon." Casa could be the distress term, and it could mean the pre-assigned task is to call the authorities. Now, let's talk about how to challenge. You need to know this because maybe your loved one really did have their wallet stolen, and they're just stressed and forgot to include the verification term. You have a challenge term. We'll say the challenge term is flash. Then, when you say this term, they should respond with the password of thunder. World War II history buffs are laughing right now, but come on, it's the most well-known pair in history. So, the person who is supposed to verify with the phrase baby girl doesn't. They just say, "I need you to wire me some money because my wallet was stolen." You say, "I'll get it there in a flash." Hearing the pre-designated challenge term of flash should make them remember that they were supposed to use a term. Now, they should respond with the password. "Thanks. When it rains, it pours and thunders." In real life, what normally happens is they say something like, "Ugh, baby girl flash, whatever." But That's for something simple like your wallet being stolen. For a more serious security threat, it'll be taken more seriously. There are a bunch of other applications to these techniques, and you're really only limited by your imagination. Now, it's also wise to have a one-time use code as well for special situations. Let's say you have kids. You don't want them getting into the car with anybody who shows up and tells them to, right? So you tell them they are only to get into a car with somebody if they know the secret word. That it doesn't matter what else they say. If they don't say unicorn, you don't go with them. If you ever actually have to use the term, it is to be changed immediately. You don't keep the same term after it's used. You could also come up with the list of terms that mean different things. Again, you're only limited by your imagination. To add another level to this, you can set either certain modes of communications or certain times to call as additional verification methods. You can combine them to be completely sure. You have to text using the verification term, then not answer the callback before actually calling. The steps needed are determined by your particular need for security. Most people don't need a multi-step process, but if you're planning a simple secret word as advised by the government, you might as well take the same conversation and plan out some other signs and countersigns. I hope this helps and answers everybody's questions. We'll be putting out more and more information about how to up your personal security posture as we go along. So, there you go. A little more information and a little more context, and having the right information will make all the difference. Y'all have a good day.